Hi, I'm Kurt Covert with Smirk Dagger Games, and we're here at Gen Con 2013. Smirk Dagger Games specializes in stab your buddy games, and our latest one for the con is right here, Dread Curse. Dread Curse is a push your luck pirate booty divvying game where you're stealing from other pirates, drawing coins out of the bag, and trying to amass the biggest treasure you can while avoiding the cursed treasure. You end the game with a black spot in your stash and you lose. Now each pirate has a different ability. So they draw different amounts of cards. So the captain, he draws the most and gets rich the quickest. And the first mate, he draws one less than the captain. And other pirates have different abilities. You know, draw 3, keep 2, draw 1, draw 2, those kind of things. They also each have a cheat. When it comes to the steal phase, first we draw coins from the bag, then we steal. At the steal phase, they're going to be stealing a coin from another pirate, but each has a different unique cheat. So the captain, he gets to steal more than one, and it can be from multiple players. The pilot gets to peek at 2 coins before she decides what to steal. And the first mate, he is allowed, instead of stealing a coin, to give someone a coin. So there's all kinds of ways to mess with your friends. It plays from 3 to 8 players in about 30 minutes, so it's kind of light, fun, pub-style game, and it's doing extremely well. We've made 2 sales before the show even opened, so.
Hi, my name is Brandon with Smirk Dagger Games. Just doing a quick overview of some of the games, or all of the games that we have, as well as some of the games, as well as all of the games we'll be demoing in Gen Con. This is Cutthroat Caverns. This is actually our flagship game. What it is it is a diceless RPG style dungeon crawl. And the tagline for this game is, without teamwork, you'll never survive, and without betrayal, you will never win. The idea behind that is you are a group of adventurers moving through a dungeon. It supports anywhere from 3 to 6 players. What happens is you're going to bust down a door and either encounter a monster or a trapped room. What happens then is you draw initiative, and then the way it works is damage. So if the monster's immune to magic, the spellcaster is going to summon something. If it's immune to physical, the people with weapons are going to use a magic weapon. So if you look at the damage cards, it's, essentially damage is damage. It's going to hurt the monster whether or not. Some of the other cards will modify how your damage is dealt, like Impressive Move, Focus Strength adds damage onto your next attack, and then you will eventually be moving your beads around the border to take damage as well. And then each monster comes with a different amount of hit dice. So we'll look at the Ripper here, for example, and all of the damage is based on how many players start the game. So if you kill off 3 of your players and you have 6 people playing, you all start with the 6th player hit points on the monster, and it deals damage as if there were 6 people playing, even though there may only be 3 or even 1. The goal of the game is to end up with the most prestige, and that is based down here on the bottom, as well as if you get far enough on the dungeon, the monsters will be coming with bonus prestige. So definitely check it out. Good game to get. Great way to spend some time. And the Fresh Meat expansion is the 4th expansion, and it fits the base game as well as all of the other expansions in it. And here we have Hex. This is kind of a hot potato style game. What happens is each player is dealt 5 cards to start with, and that is all they have to respond with the Hex, unless they have cards that do otherwise. I like this game a lot because all of the rules are printed right on the card. Each player starts with 5 voice. Essentially the premise of the game is you are wizards and you're bored. So what do? You start kicking around a hex. So you start kicking around a hex. You have your 5 spells prepared to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, it blows up on you, and you lose voice in the group. And the person who passed the hex to you last, they gain voice in the group. And there are various cards that will alter how the hex works and affects other players. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Another thing that I really like about it is after every person has cast the hex initially, that is the essentially end of the game, and the person with the most voice gets to make up a new rule for the game. One of my favorites is if your voice is 0 or below, you cannot talk. And this is Run for Your Life Candyman. I'm sure all of you have played Candyland at least one point in your life. This is a sick and twisted perversion of that game. What happens is, instead of being children going to Candy Castle to eat all the candy, you are gingerbread men trying to escape Candy Castle because it is in fact a candy factory. And getting eaten isn't real high on your priority list today. So, you're trying to escape the candy factory and escape Candyland altogether. So, very much like Candyland, you flip over a dash and bash card, and that determines how you move. So you would move 2 candy corns, and there are certain special places on the board, such as these. These are the candy cage matches. So if you land on one exactly, or draw a candy cage match card, you teleport to the nearest one, and you get to bring your friend with you. And then you two have a slugfest, where you flip over a dash and bash card. Each card you flip over correlates to a body part on the piece of paper. You mark off however much damage that would be, so that would be 1 damage to the wrapped candy arm. And because you were in the wrapped candy cage match, you either duck away to the first or the one behind it. And it's a lot of fun. It's quite brutal, and oftentimes there are games where nobody wins because there are just no cookies left. The way that happens is, as you're trying to make your mad dash to the finish, you have to get past the twins. Each of the 2 twins has 2 hands each. So every time you are stopped in the gauntlet, you take 4 cards worth of damage. And if that's the last bit of damage that you have, the kids eat you and nobody wins. And this is Shootin' Ladders. Shootin' Ladders is the bigger brother of Run for Your Life Candyman. The gingerbread men have finally escaped Candyland and are now out in the real world. This is kind of a first-person shooter meets the Shootin' Ladders board. You move up the ladders, down the slides, and there are floors as well as doors that you can hide behind and take cover. How this game works is there are actually 5 or 6 different game variations printed in the rules that you can play with. You start off with various amounts of weapons, ammo, and gear. So, the weapons all kind of determine how the game works. For example, the Pez pain dispenser has range 15, so you count out 15 squares worth of orthogonal range, and that's the range you have on your Pez pain dispenser. It deals 4 dice worth of damage, and again, the dice that you roll correlate to a body part on your piece of paper. And when the body part finally has all of its damage boxes colored in, you rip it off and you give it to the person who dealt the last damage to it, and they get a trophy. And usually that's how they determine who wins the game. And again, it's not about getting from square 1 to square 100. It's about collecting your friend's body parts. So instead of lessons of morality you're learning lessons of mortality. Sutaku, which translates from Japanese to English, it means to stack. And that's exactly what this game is all about, stacking dice. You roll 3 dice at a time, and what you're trying to do is stack them to the tallest tower you can. So we have a few dice stacked here. The die on top is 4, and the way you score it is it's 4 times the number of dice underneath it. So 4 times 4, this would score 16. So you throw 3 dice at a time, stack them up from lowest to highest. You do have the option of once per turn a mulligan, where, if you roll 2 6s on your first roll, you may want to forego those and roll just 2 dice, and those 2 have to stack on whatever you have underneath or already set up on the board. All of the characters are in Japanese, but it does come with a nice cheat sheet to, correlate the numbers from Chinese characters to the Arabic numerical system. And it's played over a series of 5 rounds. And inside there's a story of a man who starts off as a carpenter. He would like to be rich, realizes that's not going to solve all of his problems. He wants to become the prince, realizes that doesn't solve his problems. He wants to become the sun. That has its own problems as well. Tries to become a cloud. That in turn causes problems. He wants to become the mountain. And he realizes that the carpenter, the man he started off as, is able to take away from the mountain's face. So he learns, I'm just going to stick with being a carpenter and accept my lot in life.